In 1997, Nvidia was still a small chip company fighting to survive. Intel was hundreds of times larger than Nvidia. It had more money, more customers, and far more power. At one company meeting, Jensen Huang faced his employees. He told them they had one job. Move first, move faster. Destroy the threat before the threat destroyed them. It sounded absurd at the time. But Jensen was not trying to predict the future. He was building a company that could react faster than anyone else. 3 decades later, Nvidia would sit at the center of artificial intelligence. But that outcome did not begin with one lucky chip. It began with a carefully designed management system. That system was built around fear, speed, honesty, and constant reinvention. This is how Jensen Huang trained Nvidia to survive its own success. The professor at the whiteboard inside Nvidia, Jensen resembles a professor more than a conventional executive. He spends an enormous amount of time teaching employees. He does not rely on polished speeches or thick strategy documents. He teaches through questions, arguments, and a whiteboard. In Jensen's meetings, employees cannot hide behind finished presentations. He wants them standing directly in front of the whiteboard. They must draw the problem from the beginning. Then they must explain every step in real time. The reason is simple. A polished slide can make weak thinking appear complete. A whiteboard exposes every missing step and logical gap. When someone misunderstands the problem, everyone can see it. When the logic breaks, there is nowhere to hide it. But the whiteboard represents something else inside Nvidia. Everything written on it can eventually be erased. A successful idea may work today. Tomorrow, that same idea could become dangerous. Jensen wants Nvidia to treat every strategy as temporary. Every product can eventually be replaced. Every competitive advantage can eventually disappear. Even a company creating the future must destroy its own past. That belief became one of Nvidia's deepest operating rules. Reinvention is not a special event. It is the normal state of the company. Success is the most dangerous moment. Most companies fear failure. Jensen fears success. Failure naturally creates urgency. Success slowly creates comfort, and comfort is where Jensen believes great companies begin dying. During Nvidia's early years, he repeated one frightening warning. The company was only 30 days from going out of business. That statement was not literally true every single month. The message was psychological. Jensen wanted the company to behave as if time was disappearing. Even after strong quarters, Jensen resisted celebrating for very long. One executive remembered Nvidia producing an extraordinary financial quarter. The leadership team expected Jensen to finally praise them. Instead, Jensen described his morning conversation with the mirror. He looked at himself and thought one thing: "You are still not good enough." That criticism was not only aimed at his employees, it was aimed directly at Jensen himself. Jensen believed Nvidia's greatest enemy was not another chip company. Its greatest enemy would eventually come from inside. Arrogance, bureaucracy, laziness, all three could appear after winning. So Nvidia developed almost no rearview mirror. Make something excellent, learn everything possible from it. Then ask what should replace it. Do not sleep on victories. Do not believe the last product guarantees the next product. Do not confuse market leadership with permanent safety. The higher Nvidia climbed, the more vulnerable it became. So Jensen wanted it behaving like a company about to fall. He built the company like a race car. As Nvidia grew, advisors recommended a traditional corporate hierarchy. They wanted Jensen to add more layers of management. They wanted fewer senior leaders reporting directly to him. Some wanted him to hire a powerful chief operating officer. That person could protect Jensen from excessive information and administration. Jensen rejected that advice. He wanted the opposite structure. He wanted a much flatter company. Dozens of senior leaders would report directly to Jensen. Private one-on-one meetings would remain limited. Important information would be discussed across the larger leadership group. His reasoning was extremely practical. Every additional management layer slows an important signal. A customer problem begins near the edge of the company. It then passes through one manager. After that, it passes through another manager. Each layer cleans and softens the original message. By the time Jensen hears it, the warning may arrive too late. Jensen wanted Nvidia to operate like a racing car. A racing car is not designed for comfort. It is not easy for everyone to drive. It is designed around the person responsible for steering it. A flat organization also changed what employees were expected to do. They could not wait for someone to give constant instructions. They had to think independently. They had to make decisions, and they had to accept responsibility for those decisions. That environment attracted independent and highly capable operators. It also made Nvidia an intensely demanding workplace. Jensen did not design the company to protect everyone from pressure. He designed it to move quickly. The work mattered more than comfort. That intensity appears clearly in Jensen's approach to criticism. Most managers praise publicly and criticize people privately. Jensen often does the opposite. When a product fails, he examines the failure publicly. He wants the entire company learning from the same mistake. After one major graphics chip failure, Jensen challenged the team publicly. He questioned the planning behind the product. He questioned its architecture. And he questioned the quality of its execution. Then Jensen invited a retail executive into the company. The executive explained exactly what frustrated customers were saying. The criticism was deeply uncomfortable for the people involved. But Jensen's purpose was not simply to humiliate anyone. He believed a serious mistake belonged to the whole company. If one person learned privately, Nvidia wasted the larger lesson. Inside Nvidia, feedback became a form of shared information. That philosophy could feel extremely harsh. It could embarrass people in front of their colleagues, and it would not work inside every company. But it revealed one of Jensen's strongest priorities. He was not optimizing for being liked. He was optimizing for improving the quality of the work. Jensen once described his approach to struggling employees. The phrase captured both the ambition and cruelty involved. He would rather push someone toward greatness than abandon them quietly. The same rule applied to Jensen himself. In his mind, comfort could not create strong character. Character formed through difficulty, pressure, and sustained direction. Move at the speed of light. Jensen gave Nvidia's sense of urgency a specific name. He called it the speed of light. For every project, teams calculated the fastest possible completion time. That time assumed they were limited only by physics. The project would first be broken into smaller tasks. Teams would remove queues, they would remove waiting, and they would eliminate unnecessary handoffs between different people. Then Nvidia judged itself against that theoretical maximum. It did not compare itself only with last year, and it did not compare itself with slower competitors. Jensen did not expect every theoretical deadline to be achieved. The real objective was revealing wasted time inside the process. Jensen believed slow organizations eventually lose their best employees. Talented people want to build meaningful products. They do not want every decision trapped behind approvals. So Nvidia's communication became blunt, short, and highly compressed. Long explanations quickly irritated Jensen. When an employee began rambling, Jensen gave them a warning. Listen carefully to the question. Make sure you understand the question. Then answer that exact question. No fog, no unnecessary performance, no hiding uncertainty behind 100 meaningless words. Strategy had to become equally direct. Jensen did not treat a 5-year plan as sacred. The world changes too quickly for that approach. Instead, Nvidia planned continuously. Observe what is happening. Choose the next useful action, move immediately. Then adjust the plan based on reality. At Nvidia, strategy was not what leaders claimed they would do. Strategy was what employees were actually doing now. Information from the edge, but speed becomes dangerous when leaders receive inaccurate information. So Jensen created a system for detecting weak signals early. Employees across Nvidia sent short emails about their work. They described their 5 most important activities and observations. They included customer pain points. They included movements from competitors. They included technical developments and possible project delays. They also included problems that had not become emergencies yet. Jensen personally read large numbers of these messages. He did not want information polished through management layers. He wanted information directly from the edge. Strong signals are usually easy for everyone to recognize. Everyone notices a market after it becomes enormous. The real advantage comes from recognizing something much earlier. At first, it may look small, strange, and completely unprofitable. Years before artificial intelligence dominated technology, strange reports appeared. Researchers were using graphics processors for non-graphics work. The chips were originally designed to create images. But researchers used them to simulate physical systems. They also used them to analyze data faster. And they used them to accelerate complex scientific calculations. To most observers, these experiments looked like technical curiosities. To Jensen, they looked like signals from a larger future. The bet that almost looked like a mistake, Nvidia began making graphics processors useful for general computing. That effort eventually became a programming platform called CUDA. CUDA allowed scientists and engineers to use Nvidia's GPUs. The chips could solve problems traditional processors handled poorly. The potential opportunity was enormous, but the early market barely existed. There were very few customers, there were very few proven applications, and developers might reject an entirely new programming model. Nvidia invested anyway. The financial cost became severe. The company spent heavily converting its products for CUDA. It also invested deeply in building the software ecosystem. As those investments increased, Nvidia's profit margins fell. Then the global financial crisis damaged consumer demand. Nvidia's stock price collapsed. Investors began questioning the company's expensive strategy. Some executives believed deep learning was only a temporary trend. Jensen refused to retreat from the decision. He believed accelerated computing could solve entirely new problems. Traditional computers could not solve those problems efficiently, and if the market did not understand CUDA, Nvidia would teach it. The company began supporting university courses. Its scientists traveled and gave technical presentations. They helped develop textbooks and other learning materials. Nvidia placed its tools directly into the hands of researchers. Those researchers did not yet represent significant revenue. This was not a short quarterly marketing campaign. The strategy unfolded across many difficult years. Later, CUDA would position Nvidia at the center of AI. But at first, the strategy looked expensive and uncertain. It also looked dangerously early. That was exactly why fewer competitors were willing to follow. Create the market. Jensen did not want Nvidia trapped in commodity competition. When several companies build identical products, price becomes the battlefield. Profit margins fall. Customers can switch between suppliers easily. The winner may simply accept the smallest possible profit. Jensen wanted Nvidia doing what competitors could not do. He preferred creating markets rather than fighting over existing ones. He once described the ideal opportunity in unusual terms. He called it a $0 billion market. It was a field with no existing customers. But where customers do not exist, competitors usually do not exist. The phrase sounds ridiculous at first, but it clearly expresses Jensen's strategy. Enter before the opportunity appears safe. Show customers what new technology makes possible. Build the necessary tools, education, and surrounding ecosystem. Then grow alongside the market you helped create. CUDA became more valuable as more developers learned it. More developers created more applications using Nvidia's hardware. Those applications created additional demand for Nvidia's chips. That demand encouraged even more developers to learn CUDA. The advantage was not just one powerful processor. It was the self-reinforcing system surrounding that processor. Jensen did not merely want Nvidia selling into the future. He wanted Nvidia helping to construct the future. Swarm the greatest opportunity. Jensen eventually became convinced that machine learning would transform computing. He did not treat it like one project among many. He told the entire company to swarm the opportunity. Engineering had to move toward it. Software had to support it. Sales had to explain it. Research had to expand it. Education and partnerships had to strengthen the ecosystem. Every useful company resource could support the mission. Inside Nvidia, the mission was supposed to be the boss. Each important project received one clearly identified leader. Jensen called that person the pilot in command. No one could hide behind the name of a department. No one could say an unnamed team was handling something. Jensen wanted a specific person's name. That person would own the final outcome. Jensen also believed exceptional employees should receive exceptional rewards. He personally reviewed contributions from important employees. He could approve special stock grants outside normal compensation cycles. The pressure inside Nvidia was extreme, but the financial upside could also become extreme. The system combined clear ownership with concentrated company resources. It also required long-term commitment to uncertain projects that allowed Nvidia to pursue AI before returns became obvious. The company did not suddenly discover the future one morning. It moved toward the future across many years. The journey involved questions, signals, investments, and uncomfortable decisions. When the world finally understood the opportunity, Nvidia was already prepared. The system behind Nvidia, it is tempting to explain Nvidia's success with one product, or one architecture, or one technical breakthrough, or perhaps one lucky prediction about artificial intelligence. But Jensen Huang's deeper advantage was organizational. He built a company designed to learn before its competitors. Information traveled upward without passing through endless filters. Weak ideas were forced onto the whiteboard. Mistakes were examined publicly so everyone could learn. Plans could be erased when they stopped working. Employees were expected to act independently. The company measured itself against what was physically possible. And when an opportunity became important, Nvidia concentrated around it. The system also created serious costs. The culture could become exhausting for employees. Jensen's criticism could be severe and highly public. His expectations could exceed what many employees would accept. This is not a management system every company should copy, but every part of it was internally consistent. Jensen built Nvidia around the way he personally worked: direct, restless, obsessive, suspicious of comfort, always searching for the next weak signal. He never allowed Nvidia to arrive. The most revealing thing may not be Jensen's early AI belief. It may be his reaction after that belief proved correct. Even after the bet worked, Jensen never acted finished. Success did not silence his fear. Success made that fear even stronger. The company was larger than ever before. The available opportunities were also much larger. Therefore, the cost of complacency became much greater. That is why Jensen continued teaching his employees. He continued reading information directly from the edge. He kept questioning ideas that already appeared finished. And he redirected Nvidia toward markets that barely existed. Jensen believed many people were naturally smarter than him. But he refused to let anyone remain more focused. He refused to let anyone remain more durable. And he refused to let anyone pursue the future longer. Nvidia's rise did not come from seeing one perfect destination. It came from changing direction without losing speed. Jensen Huang did not only build processors that accelerated computing, he built a company designed to accelerate